Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, depending on where you are joining from. My name is Nimit. Thanks a lot for joining this session on the changing KPIs in Service Desk. I see many people are joining, and so we'll wait for another 30-40 seconds and let other people also join, and we'll start in another 30 seconds. Yeah. All right, let's go ahead. Again, my name is Nimit, and I thank you for joining on time for this session. In past few months, a lot has changed when it comes to how companies are functioning and communicating with each other. This is also true in the context of service desk. Many businesses have modernized their service desk and have brought in AI. Today, AI is driving a lot of innovation in the context of service desk. So the question is, if the platforms are becoming more conversational with AI, what impact will it have on the KPIs? To discuss this, we have Manish Sharma with us. He has been involved with the service desk and help desk industry for over 20 years now. So this is bound to be an insightful session for sure.
Thanks, Nimit. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so Manish, before we start, I would like to mention a couple of things. If anytime any of the participants have any question, feel free to enter in the Q&A section. You can find that button at the bottom of your screen. And in order to keep this session interactive and to take questions from the audience, we'll administer a couple of surveys as well. These will be anonymous surveys, so feel free to take a couple of seconds to give your opinion on that. So before I pull in Manish, in order to understand where this current group stands, here's the first question. Have you implemented AI based service desk to your business? You feel free to take a couple of seconds and uh, fill out your uh, answers. And okay, so without further delay, let me invite Manish to start the session. Manish, over to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Nimit. And I see here in my introduction you have written AI innovator, avid math lover, lifelong student. It looks like you have written everything but a geek. The only thing you had to put was a geek, and you would have done it. So thank you for that. Welcome everyone for joining today. It's a short session, but something which is close to my heart. As during this year, I saw a lot of changes happening into service desk. My question was, what are we together as a community doing about the KPIs? Are the KPIs moving, changing? And then I did that, what most of us will do, right? I Googled, and I pretty much didn't find anything in Google or Bing, because we are a Microsoft partner. I binged also, but I didn't find anything there that suggested that people have really started move their KPIs. And in our customer base, right, we are already finding that they are changing the KPIs. So I thought that might make an interesting conversation for some of the people to join and talk about that. So that's where this session comes from. Um, so let's talk about it. First of all, let's talk about the old service delivery model, right? Which we all know. I'm by the way, I'm watching a show called The IT Crowd on Netflix, and while that obviously is a comedy show, but the model was for large extent remained for the IT's help desk or service desk remained the same, right? We told people, you go create a ticketing system, ticket, but or we have self-help assets, you help yourself. But really the truth is that employees never did that. What employees did 80% of the time was to make a phone call or write an email to us, and that basically created a back and forth between us and them. There was not enough information, the agent has to call back, get some more information, maybe they find them, maybe they don't, the phone tag, what have you, right? And eventually, the L1 help desk will pass on to L2 and L3, and they might have some additional questions. So this was the old delivery model, right? I think we all know this model very well. And corresponding to this delivery model was the old KPIs. I am calling them old KPIs. I think it might be a little bit controversial to call them old right now, because I don't know, most of us are still using them, right? But this is how I feel about it. And by the way, I got to tell you that I picked up this. There were like so many sources, and we all have used our own KPIs. But for the sake of standardization, I picked it up from Think HDI, MetricNet. So I thank them for it. So these are the metrics, right? They said cost, quality, productivity, agents, service level, call handling. These are the various KPIs in under each of these segments, right? That already exist. A lot of us use these KPIs, and they did us well for longest of time. These KPIs did well. And there's an article in ThinkNet and Think HDI. You can look it up. I can send you the link for that. But very well written article. They kind of summarized what are the right KPIs that people have been measuring forever. But obviously, right, there's something missing here from a new service delivery model perspective, right? That's what we are trying to explore today. What is it that can be added to it? What is it that can be removed? By the way, one thing, it must be clear to all of us, I don't think anyone can measure all these KPIs at the same time, right? Like there are, 6 areas on an average, 3 or 4. You are talking about 24 KPIs per month. It's just too much data, right? I don't think all of us measure that. But at the same time, we want a good picture of what's going on in our service desk, right? So what they did was they kind of summarized it into 7 great KPIs, right? So in the article, what they did was they said these are the 7 great KPIs. And by the way, I added one KPI into that because I thought it was incomplete without it, which was MTTR, mean time to resolution, right? So they added these 7: cost per contact, CSAT, agent utilization, first contact resolution rate, and so on and so forth. And I added MTTR. So I think these are the 8 traditional, solid, gold standard KPIs that all of us measured for last 5, 10 years, whatever. And they were pretty good, right? They did what they have to do. And if you measure this, I think you get a fairly good idea of what's going on in your service desk. Now, that being said, the question is, what happens now, right? If we change the service desk model, then what happens, right? But before I go there, and Nimit, do you want to ask people what they are measuring? I thought we are planning to do something like that, right?
Yeah, so I have the results of our first survey as well. So the question was, have you implemented an AI-based service desk at your organization? And as expected, over 67% people have said no, but they are planning to implement soon. And
Okay.
11% have said yes, we already have. So
Okay.
this shows the power of service desk and how businesses are moving in the right direction.
I
So
mean, you can. That doesn't surprise me at all. I'm sorry to interrupt, but that doesn't surprise me at all. We are when we meet so many people, I think pretty much majority of people are at least intrigued at the very minimum, and at the or actively thinking about what to do. So sorry for the interruption. Go ahead, Nimit.
no problem. Yeah, and yeah, based on this results, absolutely what you're saying is right. And let's have the second survey on the screen because we wanted to understand a little bit more about which KPIs do you consider are the most important for your service desk. You can take a couple of seconds and fill out whatever you feel is relevant to you, and we'll go ahead and I'll be sharing the results again in a few minutes. Yeah, Manish, over to you again.
Fantastic. I hope everyone had a chance to fill up. All right, let's go. So before we go to the new KPIs, let's talk about the emerging service delivery model, right? And I often talk about that. There's a fairly standard slide for us. If anyone has attended our past webinar, you might have seen it. And if you have seen it, I'm sorry for repeating it. But essentially, what happens is your employee comes in, they talk to our platform or a platform like ours. We, in our case, are on Teams, right? But let's say someone else is on some Slack or some platform like ours, right? And you have a conversation with the platform, and either the conversation resolves your problem or give you the right information, and if it doesn't, then it brings the experts. The expert in that case can be, L1 can be considered an expert, L2, L3 are definitely experts, right? And this can be done via live chat, or it can be done by just allocating the ticket to them, right? Different ways to do it. And by the way, all the ticket management will be done by that platform. Employees don't have to do anything like that. And by the way, interestingly, what is missing here is a phone. I think you cannot see a phone in this slide anywhere, right? Because what we are actually creating is a model where you eventually don't need phones, right? Now, not to say you cannot use phone, but typically we are the model that we are at least promoting is go to Teams, do it from there. If you're on your mobile, pick up the Teams app, tell your problem there. So this is the new model. So based on this new model, let's take a quick pass. So when I started designing this, I said, what do I think is going to happen to the KPIs, right? How are they going to change? So I looked at the old KPIs and I said, well, the cost should go down, but broadly the cost KPI should maybe not change too much, but the cost should go down overall. That's what we expect. Sure. Then the quality should improve, hopefully. And I don't know about the KPIs, but the quality should improve, and that KPIs broadly should still be relevant. And mind you, I'm talking at a broad level right now. We are going to dig deep a little bit in a bit. The third is productivity, right? Productivity should improve, sure. But if productivity will change, right? Productivity, whose productivity are we talking about anymore, right? Are we talking about agent productivity, AI system productivity? What is it that we are talking about? So that will kind of change. It is going to get impacted. Service level, sure, it should improve, hopefully, right? But how do you measure it and so on and so forth? That might get impacted. And I was really not sure when I started thinking about it, what happens to agent and call handling, right? Those two areas I was really not sure before I dug a little bit deeper into the details. um, then I thought, let's go into each one of them individually and figure out what's happening here, right? So if you look at the cost, right? Um, let's go KPI by KPI. And what I did here was I put a small definition of the KPI, right? According to HDI. So cost by inbound contact. Well, the contact point is changing now, right? Because now most of the contacts will be coming via API. We're using AI, where no human is hopefully taking a phone call, right? So the contexts are going to drastically change. So does it make sense to continue this particular KPI in the way it is continuing? Maybe not, right? Similarly, cost per minute of handle time. Well, again, we don't expect our people to be a lot more on phone, right? That component is going to get reduced. That's not the primary way people are going to do it. So maybe the cost will, this KPI also becomes less relevant. Similarly, the first level of resolution, I was, yeah, this is going to continue. This looks like important KPI. So what we suggested is that there is a new replacement KPI to change kind of all of them, right? What you can measure and what we have found in our customers, what they are measuring is cost per ticket, right? So they're kind of replacing all these KPIs with a single KPI called cost per ticket. So what they're doing is they're taking the total cost of their system, with the AI system, the human cost, everything all inclusive, and they're saying how much, how many is the cost of ticket resolved, and finding the price, right? And by the way, this can be done separately for AI system and separately for human. So this here is a typo. I think this is not just by AI system. Total cost by total tickets is the cost per ticket. But when you do it for AI, then you will say total cost for AI divided by total ticket by AI. Similarly, when you do cost per ticket by human, so you can look at it in a multiple way. What some people are also doing is they are finding out cost for L1 and then cost for L2 for AI, because AI can typically solve L1 and L2 kind of tickets. Similarly, for humans, they are saying, what is my cost per L1 and what is my cost for L2 and L3, right? So this is the metrics that I've seen some people measure. And I think this is a very good replacement metrics to all the other metrics. A single metrics that will keep a tab on your cost per ticket kind of metrics, which is really what matters. So this is one option that you guys can look at. The second
Yeah,
one was,
so
yeah.
Manish, sorry to interrupt, but can we take a pause and announce the second poll results now.
Yeah, please.
So we asked which KPIs were, were the most important for the customers. So people have chosen cost per contact, CSAT, and first contact resolution as their top important KPIs.
Hmm.
And the second most important is the mean time to resolution. So
Okay.
this shows a lot what you were talking about, that people, companies are, are focusing on KPIs but not the right KPIs. So that needs to be changed. Yeah, so
So,
over to you,
so can
Manish.
you tell me about the KPIs again, because this is very interesting what you said. So you said cost per contact. What was the first four? The four that you said: MTTR, cost
Okay,
per contact, and what were the other
I'll
two?
repeat the KPIs: cost per contact, CSAT, and first contact resolution. These were
Perfect.
the top KPIs for the people.
Perfect. This is very interesting because towards the end, when you will come to our recommended KPIs, you will see why this is important. So anyway, thank you. Thank you for that. So this is the second one. Call handling is the second one, right? So these were the KPIs: inbound contact handle time, outbound contact handle time, inbound contact is a percentage of all contacts, self-service completion rate. These are the KPIs that we were measuring, right? Now, I must mention, if we break it down KPI by KPI. Inbound contact handle time, again, the same impact last time, right? Because handle times are our first line of defense is going to be AI. So it doesn't make sense to the assumption that we have a picture that we have of an employee on phone doing receiving the call and so on and so forth. So that is gone, right? It's AI plus human kind of model that we are talking about. So the KPI there needs to change. Similarly, outbound contact handle time, this is the situation where you have a ticket, you don't have enough information, you're going back to find that information. This actually has changed quite a lot, because what is happening is when AI creates the tickets are very complete in nature. Because what AI does is it will do already back and forth in questions and pull all the information required to create a ticket before it creates a ticket, right? So in the initial triaging. So again, the need for employees to call back the agent to call back the employees and say, hey, I know you created a ticket, but there's some information missing, that has gone down. So I don't know how much relevant it is anymore to measure this metric. The third one is, and maybe this metric will measure in a different way. You will see that. The third is inbound contact as a percentage of all contacts. Now, this metric again changes because the model has changed, and I will show you how that will change. And finally was the self-service completion rate. Now this is important. And in a way, the new AI system is complete self-service, essentially, right? Because there there are organizations that use, for example, our product, where there's no other option to get help. If you want to get help, you need to get on Teams and ask system the help. There's no phone, there's no email address, there's only one way to get help. And they are, by the way, one of the most successful organizations because they have really, really streamlined how their support is done. So even self-service completion rate, we always measured it. They were always low numbers, but that has changed now. So the real issue, actually, there's a new issue that has been generated though by AI systems. The question is this: is your AI understanding what the users are saying? For example, if the users say, hey, help me with my printer, right? Or my laptop is giving me trouble of this kind, right? Something very specific. And the AI does not understand it, right? That's a problem. And this is a new problem. This was not something that was happening in the old construct. This is happening in the new construct. So this is a new kind of situation that is emerging that probably we need to measure, right? Similarly, did AI had a way to, for example, if even if AI understood what I'm trying to tell it, does AI has to way to handle that problem, right? For example, if I say my printer is printing double the pages, I'm just making it up, right? Now AI understood it, but does AI have a way to help me there or not, right? So that's a second thing which is very important. So there are new issues that have been introduced by using that system that you need to track. So the new replacement KPI, here are three replacement KPIs that we are suggesting. One is percentage of user utterances not understood by AI. So, like let's say 7% of user utterance were not understood by AI, or in very bad scenario, 25% of user utterance were not understood by AI, which will be really bad, but let's assume that is the case, right? So you would want to know that these are the new KPIs that you'll want to know and keep a tab on. Second thing, in how many times the AI system has to bring human into the picture. So for example, there's a live chat option, and was it used half the time? Was it used 10% of the time, 15% of the time? You'll want to know that. How often is AI going and getting a human involved to solve the problem, right? So that's the second metrics. And the third metrics, it's very important in my opinion, is what are the new kind of skills you're adding to your AI every month, right? So for example, if you added a new knowledge skill to your AI, or you added a new task skill to your AI, or a process skill to AI, how much you added last month? And this is very important, because if you think about long-term adoption, right, you need to, AI systems cannot live on their own. You cannot just install it and say, okay, you know what, now it is there, I'm going to forget about it. You are going to continuously want to go there, improve, uh, you know improve the system, add new capabilities to it, add new automation skills to it. And that is very important. So just so you know, we view these are the five skills that you need to add to your system all the time. So we call them knowledge skill, task skill, process skill, expert connector skill, and micro learning skill. um, I, I don't know if you have, how are we doing on time limit? How many minutes are left in the webinar?
Uh, we still have around 8 minutes left.
Okay, so I'm going to hurry. So we can talk about this particular slide a little bit later, but in each of the products that you will use, whether you use ours or some other product, there'll be different skills that you can add to your AI system on an ongoing basis, right? And you need to kind of, maybe track it by skill, right? Like how much knowledge I added this month, how many new tasks the AI can handle this month, and so on and so forth. Going to the fourth one, which is quality. So the quality is, CSAT, the king of all metrics. So CSAT is not going anywhere, right, anytime soon. Now, there might be nuances in the CSAT that will come. Like some of our customers measure what was the CSAT when only AI resolved the issue, versus when was the CSAT when human plus AI resolved the issue. That means AI started it and brought human into the picture. So sometimes people want to get a little bit nuanced and they measure two different things, but CSAT is not going anywhere, obviously, right? There's a very important KPI. Similarly, the first contact resolution rate, well, this is very important, which is basically what you're saying is, is the problem resolved in the first time or not? And yes, this will continue to be important, but I think we are kind of already measuring it by escalation to human. Remember, there was a metrics I talked about, escalation to human. Well, it means when the AI is able to resolve it, then obviously it gets resolved in the first contact. But the moment you call human, that means it's not resolved in first contact. So that's how we are measuring the same API in a different way. The third is call quality. Again, less relevant. I think it's encapsulated within the customer satisfaction. So the new replacement KPI for all these is the CSAT. We believe CSAT continues to be the king. There might be nuances you can add to it, but CSAT will be there, and it's a pretty good, KPI to measure, obviously. Now the second one is productivity. The other one is productivity, right? So the productivity is, measured by inbound contact. Like basically what you're trying to measure is how many tickets agent measured per month, right? So what we suggested was, right, replace this. So, replace all of these KPIs with a new KPI, which is find out how many tickets per agent per month. We are saying just find out how many tickets per agent per month. Now you can divide again by L1, L2, L3. Some people do, but I think that is a metrics that we all need to go with. The next one is service level. Now, these were the sessions from them: average speed to answer, call abandonment rate, mttr. Now again, some of the construct go away because you're not on phone waiting for someone to pick up your number, or you're not on hold. Those construct just go away, right? If you need help, you're going to go to Teams or wherever, and you're going to type something and the bot will always be available. So you're not ever on hold, you're not actually trying to get to someone. So some of these metrics obviously go away, but mttr, as a lot of you rightly said is very important, is not going anywhere. So the metrics that we suggest here is obviously MTTR. The only thing, one thing that I will add is mm, percentage of issues understood by AI, that I added earlier, is also, a replacement KPI, right? This is important because, this represents the overall service level. If the system doesn't even understand what people are trying to say, a lot of times people are going to get frustrated. Finally, agent, right? So there were a bunch of KPIs. There was just a lot of KPIs for agent. And I thought about it and I said, the only thing that measure works. So, sure, now it's AI plus agent kind of scenario. But still, whether agents are happy with their job or not remains very, very important, right? Because otherwise you're going to see longer turnover and so on and so forth. Some of the things will matter less. For example, training hours and so on and so forth, because the system is available to agents too. Agents have a high level of support too right now as opposed to earlier. And some of the products like ours they have a special channels for agents to get help, right? So that is a game changer. But the only thing really what matters is agent job satisfaction here. I think a lot of the metrics I don't think we can measure, or are as relevant as earlier. So these are the summary that we finally, metrics that we, 8 metrics. We started with 8 metrics from their side, and I think we ended up with 8 metrics on our side, surprisingly, which are accuracy of AI. This is a brand new metrics. Escalation to human. That's a brand new metrics. MTTR is a king like always. CSAT is a king like always. Cost per ticket, I think, is a single metrics that encompasses, represents a whole lot of things about cost, right? So no need to measure a whole lot of things about cost, just measure cost per ticket. Similarly, new automation skills created this month, which is the skills I talked about, various skills. That is a new metric, and I think we should measure them. Finally, agent job satisfaction we measured last time, we should still measure it. And number of tickets per agent per month, right? This is a metrics which was somewhere there in the mix there, but not in the final eight, and we think it should be in the final eight. So our recommendation, right? And by the way, each organization is different. You might feel differently about KPIs, you might have more less different KPIs. This is just a perspective from our side, but we believe that these 8 KPIs are good, solid KPIs in a new chatbot driven, help desk scenario. By the way, if you put them in context, right, of the model, CSAT is with the employees, with the system, is things like how many automation skills you added, the accuracy of your AI, and the cost per ticket. The escalation to human really matters here, near the agents. Agents job satisfaction is directly linked to agents, and number of ticket, how many, these are linked to agents. And finally, MTTR is across, right? This is a composite one. This doesn't care whether you are talking about AI or not AI. Eventually what people are looking at, what is the average time in which you have solved my problem. So that's the pretty much it from our side. I'm going to take a pause, but before I go away, I'm happy to take some questions and talk about one more topic that we have coming up upcoming. But I'm going to take a pause and open it up for Q&A and see if there are any questions, Nimit, from participants. Any comments for that matter, not only questions but comments as well.
Yeah, so Manish, we have received quite a few questions, and since we are running short of time, we'll make sure that we'll address every question, but over email. But I think we have time to take one question, and I'll choose this. The KPIs that are mentioned seem to be in context to your product, but are these applicable to any other AI product in general?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think, if you put any chatbot driven, system or conversational system, right? The new age systems. I mean, so I think about the market as an old age system and new age system. Now, if you think of a new age system, they might not be equal in capabilities, but the moment you deploy some of them, you are going to worry about what KPIs you're measuring, right? So you might have to change them for your own system that you have bought, and but pretty much they might be relevant for most of the systems that are coming up nowadays.
All right, so I don't think we have time for any more questions, but we'll make sure that we'll reply to each and every question over email.
And
So
I saw one comment. Someone asked whether we are going to give the PPT, and we will make sure that we return the PPT to everyone, and we'll give you the recording of this as well.
yeah, so just to conclude this, so thanks a lot, Manish, for this informative session. And before we end, I would like to just add a couple of things. That one is we'll be sending you an email with the recording of this webinar for sure. And the second thing is before you sign off, we'd like to have your feedback about this webinar. There'll be a small survey, and we'd appreciate if you would just fill it up. And thanks a lot again for taking out time and joining this session. Have a great day ahead. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.